Hello and welcome back. This is part 2 of the BGP configurations. In the previous video we just created the layout and we put the routers, the switches all connected. Now we're going to start with the configurations. The only thing I changed is here I made it 30 instead of 24/24. I've already prepared the configuration, so here we go. The configuration is right here. So I'm going to copy and paste that configuration. The only thing I have done is the IP addresses of those interfaces. And if you remember, /S10 is the serial link connecting those. We can add the annotation and it shows you those. It's a bit messy, so I leave it and not edit. So if we double click on the router, we have PuTTY opened. So if we go to here and then copy the configuration, here's the configuration we're after. So copy from config T all the way there. Let's copy that and then paste here, and that's all good. So if we log in now, if you say show IP interface brief, you see the two interfaces we configured. It's up, but the serial is down because the other end is not configured. So what we're going to do, we get the configuration of the second router. Let's double click on this one. Again, let's change the appearance so you can see it better. Let's go to the font, change it to Lucida console, and we have a little bit bigger fonts now. And if we now go to this router, get its configurations, and here we go. The configuration is basic configurations here, or base configuration. So I'm copying up to there. Now let's go to the router, so router 2. And then right click, it pastes when you do right click, that's PuTTY, and it's saved. And now the two routers, the interfaces from here and the interfaces connecting them and the ones to the LAN, they're all configured. But these PCs, we need to configure them. We can actually create DHCP pools from each, but we can also configure statically. So if we double click on the first PC, we can say IP, and then let's give it 10.1.1. Let's say 100 and /24, and the default gateway will be the router, so 10.1.1.1. If you do that, then you can say show IP, and we make sure that's actually configured, so we're good. We can ping the default gateway, which is the router, 10.1.1.1. that should work. Now the first PC we have on the other side, if you double click the first one, let's double click on that and then add the IP as well. IP, and let's say 10.3.3.100, that's the /24, and the default gateway is 10.3.3.1. that's the router interface. Now we have two machines we can use for testing, and if we say show IP, we have that one set up. Let's bring the default gateway, which is the router it's connected to, and that should reach. Okay, so that's working. Now we're happy with that. The basic setting is all done. Let's start with the BGP. So why do we need BGP? Usually used exterior routing protocol over the internet, and there's a lot of documentation you can read, and this is very massive. It is learning, might take you time, but as you grow with your skills, you actually learn a lot, and it is very versatile. So many things you can do with it. And it is the only thing you can sometimes find is internally, if you use the convergence times a little bit slower, because when there is a change in the routing table, the peering between the other routers, they have to be updated. So if one router is losing maybe connectivity of one interface, it has to add and update this routing table. It has to advertise to all the connected networks, and that will create a very busy routing updates across the internet, for example. So that's why it takes time. It was reduced. The time of convergence is much less compared to other interior protocols. So there's a lot you can read. This video, I'm only showing you the configurations and how you add the configuration on a Cisco router. There are other ways to do on other devices, other vendors. But if you learn one, you can learn the rest as well. So let's go to the first router and then configure route BGP. If we first start with show IP protocols, then there's nothing configured there. So let's start with the BGP configuration. So if you go to the first router, and we have PuTTY already open, we can configure BGP here. So let's say conf t, and if we say router BGP, there is a number, very important number. It has to be unique. It's called autonomous system number, and that autonomous number, let's take here for example 100. So the first we have selected router BGP is that one, and then what you want to do is you're peering with another router. So this is one site, it wants to peer with that router. So that router's IP was 10.2.2.2. So if we can say neighbor and then question mark, then it says what's the neighbor IP address. We know the IP is 10.2.2.2, and then the AS number is very important. When you're peering with that IP, there are a few things you can do, and they're all here. You also create passwords, but the AS number, remote AS number, that's the one you need. It is BGP number. We haven't selected yet. We will do maybe 200, and we need to add that first. So let's say remote AS and then question mark. Same again, we're using 100 here. Let's use 200 over there. And when you're done with that, you can say, if you're disabling, then you say shut down, but of course we're enabling it. So let's say that's all good. That's our neighbor. We're not advertising our networks yet. So if we save this one and then go to the other router, but before we do that, I want to show you what's configured here. Show IP protocols, and you see BGP AS number 100. There's no network that we are advertising. It's only our pair we have here. We haven't configured a password as well. So very important you add the password, but let's first bring the peering up. So go to here, router 2, and configure BGP. And here the BGP is different from the other side, so 200. And now we create, neighbor, and this is the neighbor that is here. We're here now, and the other neighbor is router 1, and we know it is IP 10.2.2.1. So I need to add neighbor IP address. So we add the IP address, which is 10.2.2.1, and then the remote AS number. So we add that as well, remote, and remote AS number, and the remote AS number was 100. So if you save that, and now if you save, it takes a bit of a time for peering to come up. You can see that peering now came up. And if you say show IP protocols, we have that peering up. And if we say show IP route, we don't have any BGP subnets yet, because we're not advertising anything from either router, and that's all we have peering between the two sites. Then we decide what subnets we have to advertise. If we have multiple subnets here and only some of them we need to advertise to that, then we do the decisions. If you've got multiple exits or maybe multiple ISP routers, maybe this is one ISP, R2 is one ISP, you've got another one, then you can create policies. Those subnets can exit there, those other subnets can exit there. There's so many things we can do with that, but for now let's stop and then continue with another video. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.